Julian, David Tepper's temperature, it seems a little high. Do you think changes could come as early as Monday after this latest loss?
Well, Nick, if you believe Mike Garafolo, the NFL Network's reporting, fans are going to have to wait till after Christmas for that to happen. 6 more weeks for the Carolina Panthers this season, and then Black Monday on the NFL, when that will be the final Monday after the regular season's over, the first Monday after the regular season's over. That appears to be the time when Frank Reich, Scott Fitterer, and whoever else here in Carolina likely is exiting. So if it happens now, don't really know what it does other than make Tepper and everyone feel better. The team's still going to have the same issues. I just listened to his reporting to believe that probably it's not going to happen.
Well, what do you think of Tepper's outburst? It was in front of media members. He knows that they're there. And for those who don't know, a couple of reports that after the game, Tepper was leaving the locker room and dropped an F-bomb, the F word, and it wasn't fired yet. But what do you think? What do you make of that outburst that clearly was in view of reporting?
Yeah, well, the F word that he used is 4 letters. The F word everyone wants to hear is 5. So we'll see if that comes anytime soon. But I look at it as, well, David Tepper, you're the architect of your own misery. You're the one who spent $2.25 billion liquid. You're the one who hired Frank Reich after Steve Wilkes went 500 last year and could have been the real homecoming story instead of the one that Frank Reich is, which is still a nice story as a first ever head quarterback here in Carolina, but it has not worked out. You made a decision to hire Scott Fitterer. You made a decision to hire Matt Rule. You made a decision to hire Christian Latanzio and Miguel Angel Ramirez and all of the execs that have mysteriously just disappeared Tepper Sports and Entertainment. It's on you, David Tepper. So that's what I think. It's his own fault. He's the one that has all the money, talks about not having this organization at a competitive disadvantage. Well, you are the competitive disadvantage, David Tepper. And until you figure it out, well, I guess we're all just going to be hostages watching a bad football team and a bad football team in Charlotte FC. So until he figures it out, that's just the reality for people here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and across the Carolinas.
All right. Is there anything, Julian, this team can do over the last couple of games, 7 games or whatever it is, 6 games?
6.
Math is bad every week.
It's almost over.
Right. Can anything be done to salvage Reich's job or Fitterer's job? I mean, this was a winnable game, which Frank Reich admitted after he lost it.
I feel like for Scott Fitterer, or post-trade deadline, any kind of move he could have made. And I felt like going to the deadline, as there were reports about getting a number 1 wide receiver, well, maybe you shouldn't have traded that one away to move up to number 1 to get Bryce Young. And also, maybe you should have tried to do it in the offseason. Like, Nuke Hopkins played fairly well today for the Titans. He's really helped Will Levis. Now, Adam Thielen has helped Carolina, but imagine if they had Nuke Hopkins and Adam Thielen. That's DeAndre Hopkins for the folks that don't know at home. So for Scott Fitterer, I don't really know what he can do. The roster's already poorly constructed as is. So I feel like the resume is the resume for him. For Frank Reich, I would suggest that Bryce Young just starts playing like the best, like a number 1 overall pick, and maybe has a couple 300-yard passing games, and they win the final 6 games of the season. Because really, it's tied to his development. That's what Garafolo of the NFL Network said on Sunday morning. The development of Bryce Young, that is really what's important in the final 7 games. Now, we saw still struggled, so final 6 games. If all of a sudden it clicks and Bryce Young looks like the guy that they told us was going to be the most ready-made, prepared of the rookie class that could potentially win Super Bowls, plural, in the future, I just don't see how there's any argument for him to come back, especially when we look at all the other issues that this roster has on game days.
All right, Julian, no doubt the Panthers' offense has been pathetic. They've not scored twice on offense in the same game since October 15th, going 0 for November. They've only done it 3 out of their 11 games, scored 2 touchdowns on offense in the same game. I mean, how does Bryce Young, if we put it in that context, even have the ability to make progress on his own individually within this offense?
He can't. That's just the honest truth at this point in time with 6 games remaining. The roster is the roster. The coaching staff is the coaching staff. The offense is this is who they are. After 11 games, you're just not going to change. You see teams improve throughout the season, and the Panthers have not made that improvement. So you have to believe at some point who someone tells you they are. And the Carolina Panthers are showing you and telling you that they're the worst offense in the NFL. Now, as far as Bryce Young goes, like this book is not written on him. The offensive line is in disarray. I understand that Ike Ekwonu has regressed. He has not had a great season. Bradley Bozeman has not had a great season. Taylor Moton has still been the best part of the offensive line, maybe not up to the standards that we're expecting. But the guard position, they have played 9 different guard combinations, and none of those are Brady Christensen, the starting left guard, and Austin Corbett, the starting right guard. You never had your 2 starting guards this season. So you have 9 different combinations. You're going to have a hard time succeeding and protecting your quarterback and running the football. And we saw that a couple years ago when they started 13 different offensive line combinations in 17 games. That was a 5-12 football team that completely collapsed after a 3-0 start. You're just not going to have success. And then we saw today with Tennessee, you take away Adam Thielen, what does Bryce Young have? Doesn't have a running game. Mingo might have had his best game, so to speak, but he still doesn't make a ton of plays and didn't help his quarterback out in a couple situations. It's just what it is at this point. So we'll see, maybe, but it's been 12 weeks, 11 games. I feel like this is it. It's what they're going to be this year. Hopefully for Bryce, the changes that are going to be made help him moving forward and that he does not turn out to be a bust because of the situation and not necessarily his own doing. If
you're the general manager of this team this offseason, and we think at this point there might be a vacancy for that job.
I'm not taking the job.
With this, but if hypothetical, if you did, where do you start with this offense? Because there seems to be an overhaul or a total makeover that seems to be needed. Where do you even start, and how much can you do in one offseason to help Bryce?
You start up front. I know we can focus a lot on the skill positions. That is important. But football is a line of scrimmage game. If you cannot stop the run, if you cannot run the football, you cannot protect your quarterback, you do not have a chance. So that's where I start. Now, that's where it gets complicated. You look at the projected starting 5 going into the season, aside from Corbett's injury, all 5 of them, Austin Corbett at right guard, Taylor Moton at right tackle, Bradley Bozeman at center, Chandler's not even Zavala, but Brady Christensen at left guard, Nicky Kwana at left tackle. All 5 of them, and Zavala and Cade Mays, are all under contract next season. Now there's some outs in the deals with Corbett and with Moton because of just moving around money and restructuring.
Sure, the guys you're least worried.
Yeah, and those are 2 guys you would want back, but there's some serious cap ramifications if you decided to move on from them. So you got to figure out, of those 5, who are you going to stick around? Like, how can you actually maneuver the cap? They're going to have some decent cap space. You got to figure out 5 guys that can protect your quarterback and that can help your quarterback have a supportive run game. That's where it really starts. And then, yes, you need to go out there and find receivers, but it doesn't really matter if your quarterback doesn't have any time to throw the football.
All right, this team has scored 12 points per game since the bye week. But they've been in most of the games since then, and they won one of them. So let me ask you this. If there's a coaching change, how much should Carolina consider defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero as the next head coach?
Well, man, if I am him, I am looking at the other options available throughout the NFL because his CV is looking pretty good. J.C. Horn's missed 10 games. Shaq Thompson, he's missed 9 so far. He's going to end up missing 15 this season. You've seen Xavier Woods miss time, Von Bell missed time, Brian Burns missed a game, Marquise Haynes has missed a ton of time. Right now you have Justin Houston out, and they have played fairly well. They've given them a chance to win every single one of these games out of the bye. He had already, in 1 year as a defensive coordinator in Denver, had a top 10 defense by all respects in most categories. Now, it's not a top 10 unit this year because of the lack of health, but still, they have overachieved when you look at the injury situation and expectations that should be placed on this defense. Like, he had an opportunity to be the head coach here. David Tepper said no. I don't know what his offensive plan was. That's the difficulty of a defensive coach. You're going to want to know, okay, who's going to be a coordinator? And then if that guy leaves, who could then replace him? What's your system going to look like? And now with Bryce Young, how are you going to aid a young quarterback? For Ejiro Evero, I would be looking elsewhere in the NFL and seeing what better opportunities I can find before I decide to stay here after the owner passed up on me. Now he's paying him handsomely to be the DC. We'll see. But the thing is, what's his offensive game plan? Can he lead men? We know he can run a defense, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can be a head coach of a football team, as we've seen all across the league.
All right, Julian. They're at the Bucs next week.
I'm
just saying.
Division
they're
game.
Still in the race for the NFC South.
No, they're not.